So I'll just start with some demographic information. I'm going to do Cayuga County first, then Auburn. I'm not going to read through all of these numbers, but for the most part, a lot of our demographic trends are heading in the right direction. We've got our median age in the county is still lifting slightly every year, but our household income is also lifting. Our poverty rates are dropping, and we're seeing a little bit of an exchange between high school graduates and then folks that have associate's or bachelor's degrees. So we are seeing a drop in high school graduates, the percentage of the population that have a high school degree, but we're also seeing an offsetting increase in people who have associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees. So there's that. In Auburn, it's somewhat of a similar story, except the median age has actually started to drop in Auburn. We're seeing a little bit of a redistribution of the age diagram, and seeing a larger percentage of Auburn's population is actually in this young professional, young adult stage. So that's a positive outlook for our workforce as we start to talk about workforce development coming up in the year. There's also been marked improvement. So these numbers are from 2010 to 2016. There's been some good improvements in halving the poverty rate, particularly childhood poverty. So we'd like to see those trends continue, and a similar exchange between high school graduates and higher education graduates. So we've got some positive trends happening in our demographics, but there's also some areas of concern. We still have pretty high levels of poverty. We're still needing to keep an eye on that age demographic, and we're also still needing to keep an eye on our population. We're still seeing declining population overall. So hopefully that trend is reversing as we talk about some of the things that are coming up in 2018, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to create a fantastic quality of life that will attract new workers to our community. Some areas of concerns that we're seeing in the region. These are statistics from Center State's 2018 Outlook Survey. This is a survey that's put out to businesses and organizations around the Center State 12 County region. So these responses are from businesses that responded to that survey. What we are seeing is that there's still 58% of respondents are still saying that regulatory requirements and changes to regulations are going to have more than a modest impact on their business coming up in 2018. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on as we continue to see changes at the federal and state level. That being said, 58% is less than last year. Last year, 66% of respondents noted regulatory pressures as a concern for their business. So this is on the downswing, but it's still something we need to be cognizant of and make sure that we're trying to make sure that these regulations are keeping in mind our business community. I also noticed that from last year there was a drop in the percentage of respondents that are expecting to grow their export market. So that could be an indication that there are some concerns about global markets and trading with other countries. So it's something that we need to keep an eye on as federal regulation and against state regulation moves forward. There's also some areas that are both challenging and areas of opportunity for our business community in the Center State region. There's a feeling that there's increased competition. Technological advances have made it easier for folks to look for products all over the world. So our local businesses are seeing pressure from increased competition because you can't get something from anywhere anymore for the most part. So this increased competition is forcing our businesses to be more innovative and develop new products. This is not inherently a bad thing. We want our companies to be innovative and making investments in technology and research and development, but it also creates a challenge on the back end. It's hard to manage these types of changes. You still have to offer the same products that you did before you updated your technology, and you still need to train your existing workforce to utilize any new technologies that you're bringing into place in your business. So it's a challenging thing, but competition is really starting to breed this innovative spirit in our business community, for better or worse. So there's also some areas of optimism that you can pull. The National Association of Manufacturers, you might remember our speaker last year from NAM, they do an Outlook survey. 2017 the fourth quarter of 2017 showed the highest levels of optimism amongst manufacturers that they've ever seen in 20 years. And that's been a trend over the last year. Optimism among manufacturers in 2017 was much higher than it was in 2016 and previous years before that. So we're seeing some optimism and some anticipation of growth in the manufacturing industry, which I'm kind of looking at my manufacturers and saying, let's do that. So we're seeing some optimism there, and then a lot of the other business optimism surveys that are out there are showing the same things. They're showing that businesses are feeling pretty optimistic right now. They're expecting growth. This was also shown in Center State's Outlook survey. 67% of respondents anticipated growth in overall sales and revenues. And then over 50% were looking at a bunch of different areas like jobs and hiring and products and services, and so we're going to see growth there. So looking into 2018, we're going to keep an eye on that optimism, try to keep it high, and reap the benefits of having that level of optimism, and try to support businesses so when they do make those investments, they're able to maintain them and utilize them to their best potential. Other positive signs locally, in 2017 we did see a marked jump in sales tax collection in Cayuga County. It was up 7.4% over 2016, and since 2012 we've seen an increase in sales tax of 11.4%. So this goes along with the narrative around consumer optimism, and people are out there buying things. So that also increases our tax base from a budgeting perspective, and it's something that we would like to continue to see to rise. After a little bit of a bumpy year in 2016, it was really great to see this recovery in 2017. We're also seeing a lot of investments from businesses and organizations throughout Cayuga County. They're saying it again, over $12 million in state funding came through the consolidated funding application process this year. A lot of that's going towards business development projects and community development projects. There's some money in there for helping the lake. There's some money in there for infrastructure. So there's a variety of projects that are happening coming up in 2018 that receive funding. And that funding is actually leveraging another $27 million in investment. So that's a lot of money that people are pouring into our community, and that is a good sign. It means people are here to stay. We're also seeing continued investments in our downtowns and main streets. The city is continuing to do a lot of work in downtown Auburn, and there continues to be a lot of mixed-use development and low residential vacancy rates in downtown Auburn. But in addition to that, we're also seeing this type of investment around the county. The Village of Canyon Springs is doing very optimistic projects and infrastructure to increase quality of life there. And the Village of Fairhaven was awarded the New York Main Street grant that the Citizen today, so thank you for doing that. And so the Village of Fairhaven is going to use this Main Street money to do some mixed-use development and mixed-use renovations to improve property values and quality of life there. And those are just examples. These types of things are happening all over the county in our downtowns and main streets. And again, it's a show that people are here, they want to be here, and they want to attract other people here. So nobody would put money into a community that they're going to lose the first chance. So these are areas that we're seeing positivity and optimism, and we need to keep an eye on them and encourage these areas as well. Looking at our unemployment rate, it's continued to drop. It's at below 5% pretty consistently, which is good. But we're also seeing that the national unemployment rate has dipped below ours for the first time in a few years. So this story here is that we're doing great with unemployment rate, but we're still losing labor force. Our labor force is smaller than it used to be, and we're not keeping up with some of the larger trends anymore on unemployment rate. I could show you 10 slides with 10 different graphs of 10 different indicators telling this same story of our region. We don't see the busts as harshly as other areas of the country, but we don't see those booms either. So we're starting to see a leveling out, and this is not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. So we need to keep an eye on our unemployment rate and make sure that we are having people employed, helping employers find the right people for the right jobs, because in conjunction with this unemployment rate, we also have a lot of job openings that are not being filled. And that gets to the workforce pressures and why we're here today. For the first time, I look back at the last few years of Center State's Outlook Survey, and for the first time in a number of years, the top two concerns leading into, the top two pressures that businesses were feeling from last year were both workforce related. They were the costs of employment and the availability of workers that are skilled and qualified. These have been inching up that list for a few years, but this is the first time that they have both outpaced every other regulatory development, economic development pressure on the list. So that is telling us loud and clear, it's time to do something. These businesses are also expecting that the ability to attract and retain talented people is going to be a top pressure in 2018. So it's not going away, it's not getting better. So again, we need to do something. And that brings us to some of the regs. And also, there's a lot of different things that are happening around workforce and employment and benefits and costs. There's regulations that we need to be keeping an eye on and talking to employers about. There's a lot of concern around paid family leave and the new call-in hour regulations that are being proposed. So you're going to be hearing from us about those areas. We want to hear from you how these things could affect your business. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they in between? And we want to get your input so we can share that input as a group.